A healthy reminder. This bitch walked. She strutted that runway, mama, so that Peppa could run.
As Trump and JD Vance try to tackle Gen Z with podcast appearances, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are winning them over with merch drops. Hours after it was revealed that Tim Walz could be Kamala Harris's running mate, the campaign was quick to release a camouflage hat with Harris-Walz in bright orange letters. You can see it here. Now, CNN believes the hat went viral because Walz is a hunter. Take a look.
I want to show our viewers something that our colleague Josh Campbell just pointed out to me, and I believe we have it. It's new merch. All the campaigns get merch up really quickly. But this in particular, as Josh is pointing out, is in orange, blaze orange. It's a color used by hunters for safety purposes. And that's what Tim Walz is. He is a hunter. And the fact that that is one of the first things that they are selling, that tells you a lot about the way that they are trying to get the white men.
I might get one. That's not I mean, there's a way to style that hat that could fit in with the culture, you know? And I think that is actually what is happening is that
They've already got you. I think they're different.
But that's what my point is like, there's a way to say the same thing and speak to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Okay. Could be true. And it is something that Democrats might lean into because they hope Walz will relate to rural America. Take a look.
I think that background, the small town background, the military background, Democrats are hoping it's going to help them. You're hearing a lot about this here as we take a look at our battleground map here. They're hoping it's going to help them in these three very familiar battleground states we always talk about: Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And the reason why, obviously, you know from the Electoral College standpoint why these are so important, but the challenge for Democrats in these three states has been pretty straightforward for a long time now. Democrats have been cleaning up, increasingly so, in the suburbs of Philadelphia, suburbs of Pittsburgh, suburbs of Detroit, suburbs of Grand Rapids, even suburbs of Milwaukee. Used to be hardcore Republican, much less so in the Trump era. So the Democrats have been doing really, really well in the suburbs where they need help in these states, and why these states have been so close and why Trump even won all three of these states in 2016 is the sort of small town, rural core of each one of these states. That's where Trump and the Republicans have been surging since 2016. That's where the Democrats have been losing ground. The Democrats used to do pretty well in a lot of these places, no more. So the hope is that for Democrats is that Walz's background, his story, will be familiar to voters in those places and will help them in those states.
Now, this is despite the fact that he won re-election based on Democratic suburbs. Take a look.
Minnesota is very similar to these three states. It's not so much a battleground state because the demographics, there's a little bit more of that college-educated suburban population that's so heavily Democratic around the Twin Cities. But the basic dynamic in Minnesota demographically is pretty similar to these three states. And let's take a look here at how Tim Walz did. This is the 2022 governor's race in Minnesota. Now, he was reelected, you can see here, by an 8-point margin. But the key is when you look at Minnesota and you look for those areas I'm describing where the Democrats have been losing ground in Wisconsin and Michigan and PA. Well, those areas comparably, demographically, culturally in Minnesota would be what they kind of call greater Minnesota. And it's almost the entire state geographically, except for this core area around the Twin Cities. Ton of population, majority of the population's in this Twin City metro area. But everything else around here is greater Minnesota. And that's very similar turf demographically to where the Democrats need votes in those other three states.
So it's not really that he's a hunter. That's not the point of this hat. Harris and Walz are gaining popularity from Gen Z because of their ability to relate to them. Much like how Harris was instantly associated with pop star Charlie XCX after moving to the top of the Democratic ticket, many on social media started tying Walz to Chappell Roan and her album The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess that continues to surge up the charts. And for those unfamiliar with the Charlie XCX reference, after Harris took over the ticket from Biden, the Kamala HQ X account changed their banner to reflect the style of Charlie XCX album Brat. As you can see here, the same Brat that Francesca mentioned earlier tonight. Now, with Walz's addition to the ticket, supporters suggested the campaign lean into Chappell Roan's Midwest princess angle because of his Midwest ties. One ex-user suggested a campaign hat in the style of Roan's most popular merch item, the camouflage Midwest princess hat. And in the words of the director of strategic planning and for mobilization for the Democratic National Committee, Hester Leiser, for all the Midwest princesses out there, you asked, we answered. And this hat went everywhere. It sold out instantly. Taylor Lorenz has an update on those numbers. Some stats: the campaign made 3,000 hats originally. Initial inventory sold out in less than 30 minutes. Thousands of hats are currently on back order. Over 1 million in hats were sold yesterday alone. They designed it all, rolled it out in under 5 hours, and these are American and union made. And Francesca, I ordered mine yesterday. Did you get one?
Wow. No, I don't know. The trucker hat in the year 2024? Are you kidding me? What are we doing? But I guess this is what we're doing. And I love that Kornacki and Dana Bash just, like, this is the campaign you want. Like, this is how you know it's reaching Gen Z, because Gen X has no idea what's happening. Millennials have no idea what's happening. Like, older people are like, well, I don't know, it must be about hunting. Like, it's about the rural vote. Well, it's kind of about the rural vote, but like, yeah, I mean, with the Brat thing, it was specifically because Charlie XCX tweeted, Kamala is Brat. I mean, if there was no other endorsement that Kamala needed from any celebrity, that this was it. They couldn't have scripted it better, to the point where I know people were like, Brat Summer's over, because now they're pissed, right? That it got sort of co-opted. But Charlie XCX did that. Now Chappell Roan, I don't know what she said about this, whether she's like mentioned it. It's not really like copyright, you know what I'm saying? Because it's just a camo hat that says Midwest Princess. But yes, it's very funny, and it's funny that it's going over everybody's head.
Yes. So there's a couple things here. So she did acknowledge it. She asked on Twitter if it was real. And then she retweeted somebody, and I'm paraphrasing, but it said something like, how gay do you have to be to see a camo hat and immediately associate it with Chappell Roan? She boosted that as well, which, like, they did it deliberately.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was in the style. And on that front, I mean, you're saying like no trucker hats, but like camo is so in, and real tree patterns like they have here.
Yes.
In like band merch specifically is very, very in right now. I've seen a lot of like hardcore and metal bands do real tree camo hats.
Is that what it's called? Real tree?
Yeah, when it's basically a picture.
Yeah, I was gonna get some Crocs in real tree, which I think would have definitely disguised me as a Gen Z-er, but I think they were sold out, or I wasn't sure I could pull it off. But I do like real tree, and I love Crocs, of course, because I'm a mom, you know, and everything hurts.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry about that. But on the media thing,
what are we talking about?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go. I'm just talking nonsense.
Okay, the media missing the point, I think, is really funny. It reflects an out of touch problem that's pervasive throughout corporate media. It's camo. He's from the Midwest. It's got to be about hunting, despite the campaign itself winking and nodding at these fans. People on social media saying, "Hey, do something like this." The Brat thing, you saw that clip of, I think, Jake Tapper trying to explain Brat.
Yes.
Like, maybe it's time to get some new blood in there. Like, maybe it's some people who.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I didn't want to. I'm very passionate about this because look, Taylor Lorenz does amazing work, but she's also a young journalist, and there are so many young journalists who need work. So many young journalists who have the finger on the pulse of what's going on online, on what's trending, on all this, and like, it's not just Taylor, right? There's just a lot of people who could use jobs, and to say nothing of could use like a regular panel spot on CNN, who are smart, who are also in touch with, again, what's going on, just on like a music basis. So yeah, it indicative also of like, these are the same people that love to chastise voters young voters, if Democrats lose, right? Oh, the young voters didn't come out because you didn't platform them. You didn't speak to them. And so I love that. I thought that Donald Trump's campaign truly like ruined the internet. I was like, okay, well, Obama's campaign is when the internet goes right. Trump's campaign is what happens when you like, make 4chan your cabinet. And Kamala Harris is bringing back a little bit of the joy of the internet, in a little bit of like the S posting and a bit of the memeing, and the fact that they're running with some randos like just sort of fantasy, or just basically like S posting. I know I can say the word, but I don't want to. About JD Vance having sex with a couch. And the fact that Tim Walz is now joking about having sex with the couch on the campaign trail is so funny. So it's like, it's not only we have a new candidate, it's not only we have a candidate that ostensibly is more progressive, but we also have a candidate who can speak full sentences, but who cares about being relevant and who gets what is funny about different cultural memes. This is good. This is good.
Yeah, and it's how campaigns are waged and won now. I mean, part of Trump's success in 2016 was an army of people memeing him to the presidency. Sure, there's more to it than that, but it was a factor. And you've had academics, you've had reporters, you've had many people look at that, at what at the time was a phenomenon, but really is how campaigns can be won at a national level. And if they want to win, you need to be able to relate, especially the young people. They're not just children watching from afar. They're active participants in elections. You want to pat them on the back for helping elect Biden in 2020 and then give them nothing in return? No, look, it's grim, but it's reality. Boomers, while they are reliable and older people are more reliable votes, they're also dying off. Like younger people are becoming much more engaged than they had in cycles past. You look at how young people participate in politics and in our democracy now compared to 20 years ago, it is totally different. And sure, there is ground for them to gain, but they are active. They're extremely active and participatory, especially now that there's a candidate who at least can form a sentence, like you say.
Yeah, and I also think it matters, final thought, that these are like, Charlie XCX and Chappell Roan are two like women, and women's rights and reproductive rights have already been on the chopping block, have already been taken away. And young women who are voting maybe for the first time are voting really on this issue of reproductive freedom. And it's hitting. And not only that, but like Chappell Roan being queer, Charlie XCX, I mean, just being sort of like herself, which I think is sort of the brat milieu, is like, I don't really care what you think about me, that I'm a crazy cat lady. Like that resonates. And so I think there's also, may I say, a feminist tinge to all of this. And I love it. Like without being like pantsuit nation-y about it, I love it.
What a callback. Feels like a lifetime ago, but yes, it is a very different moment now. And a good one. I think a good one.
Absolutely.